Yeah.
Oh, that guy with the goat.
And he tracks them using a Norwegian satellite tracking system.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. He's
Pretty
like
cool.
he's a good guy.
Let it be known.
Yeah.
that. He's pretty good.
Ledavina?
And he can grow a beard faster than anyone. He walked into the FSA one time, I looked at him, I recognized the voice, but it's like the guy from Popeye. You know, he gets just full.
So David, that day we were trying to think of who the supervisor was, it was Jim Ledavina.
Okay.
It was Jim, yeah, like, duh. He was in here a long time too, maybe 8 years.
You two getting anxious?
I was getting close. We're watching.
They, you,
8:30.
same time, you turn, it's like.
The movie
sat the
started.
same. Right.
Get the pop.
We have to move so that we're bringing it up and not like knock everything. Keep it talking if I can.
Either,
Yep.
either, okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you, welcome. First item is to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion, all those in favor say aye. Motion carries.
You two gonna let us play it all today, or are you just gonna be that way all day?
Well, we're never gonna get the agenda.
Did you notice we always do that?
Yeah.
We did, that's what it's like, we're never gonna get the first one.
Next, I just won't say nothing.
There you go.
Open it up for public comments, if anybody from the public wishes to speak. Questions or comments?
Why are we here on Friday instead of a Monday?
Cause we enjoy our jobs.
Yeah,
Business has to be taken care of.
Misery loves company, right?
Yeah. we have some time sensitive matters, so we've called a special meeting.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
I'll tell Carolyn that.
Is she online?
She's online.
She called me and said, Karen, you gotta go because I don't think I'm going to.
Hmm.
So thanks, Carolyn. I'll try to get there. She should be coming in any minute now on that voice thing. Tell Karen to stop talking.
Anybody have questions, comments?
Well, I would have one. Why can't we just leave Chris Barron's on for interim until July 1st or whatever?
Get to that.
Go get to that,
Yep.
okay.
Discussion and possible action on plan for economic development. Since we were meeting, today, I thought we would throw that on there, to expedite. We had a conversation with them. What night was that?
Tuesday.
Tuesday night. And it seemed like there was some time sensitive information that we needed to try to get back to the cities, sooner rather than later. We were going to do this on Monday. That was kind of gonna be pushing it for some people, so I thought we would throw it on there for today and open it up for discussion about how you thought the meeting went and which way we think we should go. There's when we got to the meeting, so just to bring everybody up to speed, we had budgeted for their department to be fully funded through the end of this year. And that we would go to the per capita formula that they're charging the cities to put that on the county residents. Starting July or January 1st to June 30th of 2026. So when we went to the meeting, we had sent them a letter of intent to withdraw after time. And when we went to the meeting, they had contacted an attorney, Mike Marquest, to kind of guide them through what that looks like. And their plan was to wrap everything up by July 1st of this year, of 2025.
Mhm.
And so we thought we had more time there. We didn't budget the full amount for the next year. One of their employees is relocated to our assessor's office. relocated. She had got a new job there. She's working there. And so, and a lot of the cities had budgeted. I did get an email back last night that I did forward on to the board. From Catherine saying that I think that, most of the cities, maybe just one, didn't, put it in their budget or fund it or not directly. It was Montour, I think. Okay, from the meeting, I was gathering that Tama hadn't done that either. But maybe they have changed, and so the tone seems to be a lot different now, but, that's where we're at. They were scheduled to wrap everything up. We were going to have to pass a resolution to withdraw and dissolve the organization. I guess we didn't, it's kind of a surprise to us, I guess. At that time, there's a lot of information I think that we would need to gather to make a good decision. But what's everybody else's thoughts about how they thought the meeting went?
Should they make a motion to open the discussion?
Well, I think we need to have a discussion before we can make a motion. Either way.
Says we have to motion before we can have discussion.
Okay, well, I have opening remarks. If you want to make a motion either way, I'll set.
Are we even voting today, or are we just discussing, you know, I mean, that's the question too, right?
Mhm.
It was just a discussion, but that's up to you guys.
Well, I'll just make a motion, we discuss about economic development.
I'll second that.
Okay.
I would-
Okay, fair enough.
Segment to discuss. Great discussion.
Right. I thought the meeting went fairly well. I was, again, like you said, we were surprised that they were gonna cut things off on the 1st of July. I do believe. Spend some time thinking. I was. So. Anyway, so. Still, it's. Smart. So, why not buy myself? So, school year. It's next year. Normal time was at 20 something.
Yeah. 7th, it's in the bylaws.
I believe we would have some sort of an amendment. As our budgets are set and set for the state. If there's gonna stand. That's where I'm at. I don't know why it was, or. Interest of the rest of the county.
I'd agree. I was kind of caught off guard, I guess, too, I thought we'd have the meetings, you know, discussing. We sent a letter of intent. It wasn't, we're just walking away. We were hoping everybody would come to the table and we'd have a discussion, which we had a good one Tuesday, but we definitely need to keep discussing whether are we gonna, you know, can we update the 28E, or are we, you know, to where these things that we're seeing as gaps, you know, of what people pay or what, you know, how this all works, right? I don't know when the 28E, it's been quite a long time it was put together. It needs either updated or withdraw and start a new one almost. Like, I don't think we want to get rid of economic development. Clearly, none of us do. But I think it still would be good to go with cities on in this couple weeks to what are their needs. We need to understand like what, you know, if we keep a person or a person and a half, you know, part-time person, what would they and us like them to, right? Like, what are the gaps? Do they need grant writing? Do they need, you know, like sometimes it seems like instead of just working, do their ordinances for them, like enforce them, I'd rather like, look, what's the best way to use someone? So that's kind of where I'm at, I guess. I don't want to lose it. I'm kind of the same with David. I'm okay. Either way, whether it's 1 year or whether it's now when we start a task force to work on it, I think we need to find a way to make it work. And, we've been so small with the budget and everything else. I want to call around to the different, counties around because I enjoy doing that. You learn things or, use our resources of what could we do differently to make this better. Like we don't have big businesses coming in, and we're so close to Waterloo and Marshalltown, the taxes would probably be lower to get a warehouse or get something in the community that would be a bigger, factory or bigger something to bring jobs and such. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need to keep it something, in some shape or form, but I think after Tuesday, I think we probably walked out. We probably should find a way to make this work. They were pretty down and out. They were ready to end it. And we give them some life into them. And, yeah, I don't know exactly. I get a little bit what about difference in the tax, how much everybody gives, but I think it is a little overwhelmed on our side. Should it be? Yeah, maybe a little bit, I think we probably should give a little more than the cities, but not the situation we're in. But, I think, we need to find the money and I also, I get exactly what's going on with some insurance. I don't know if we can keep leading them on and say, hey, we're gonna give you money for a year, we'll see after that. We'll give you money for 2 years, we'll see after that. Cause I'm sure that hinders the city's attitudes, and their donors, she's getting money from companies and they don't know the future. As a business owner, I don't know if I would keep continuing my contribution, so, I would really like to make this work and try to find this money somehow and just give them a little peace of mind. It'd be hard coming to work not knowing what's happening with your deal, and I think it was a major, unfortunately, a misunderstanding. I mean, because we obviously did not go to that meeting thinking it was over that day, and they pretty much made their mind up and come to the conclusion that we were not gonna help them at all and da-da-da. We were all there, but man, I know it's gonna be a tight budget for the next couple of years, and I think our department heads are gonna have to understand, raises are probably gonna be pretty much nil for the next couple of years, and, just gotta try to make it work. I think we really need to try to make it work. How that looks, we need to talk.
So what do they do with the money that they get donated from the city, the big businesses? What's that go to? Do we even know?
It's their budget. I can't remember the line by line, but 80% of their budget is wages. So what they do with the other, office, day-to-day stuff, conferences. And she explained that some of the conferences are really her, because that's where she goes and does her business, which makes sense. But a little bit of that question is probably a good question. I mean, it's on the budget sheet, I'm sure. I'd have to go back and look, but yeah, no, most of that, I'm pretty sure if you guys disagree, it's wages. Yeah. I mean, they agreed, and I think she's okay with maybe getting a part-time person to replace.
Does she need that person though?
Yes. Yeah, they've all made that very clear.
But it used to be full-time, if they could just get a part-time with no benefits, 15, 20 hours a week, something like that to do the,
So what's
whatever
that-
else she can
What's
do.
that person do? Just answer the phone?
That's what we need to find out. She's supposed to be putting that together of what it looked like, how many
You know, like
hours,
Catherine, what's she all do? For her part, you know?
Yeah.
travels to
Cause I was
the
up to something
businesses.
that she wrote the grants and everything, but that's not true, right?
No,
Yeah,
she finds, I believe she finds the grants or, figures out
What
what
he
needs.
writes those? Are we paying someone to write them or what?
It's just questions we need to answer, I think. That's
Yeah.
where we need to collaborate together.
Yeah, and we're gonna have.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
confused by the whole deal, cause I assumed, until I talked to Mark yesterday a little bit about it, I assumed that she was writing the grants and finding the grants and doing all that, but it don't sound like that.
No, I think she's
for
footwork.
businesses. Hold on, just a second,
Joanne.
We'll have our discussion.
She said that Joanne was writing grants.
Yep, I don't think that was true. I mean, we're all kind of just in a, we don't know, there's so much, the way that the 2080 agreement is written, it doesn't require us to give any money. It requires us to be a partner. It doesn't it lays out specifically how the cities give, but then we are just, kind of expected to make up the rest of whatever that budget is. They have a capital campaign that goes on to, and we're 82% of their funding, which essentially is their employees, if that's 80% of their budget. And so, however, the 2080 prevents the supervisor that's on the board, that is the biggest contributor, from being the chair of the organization. We have no oversight over as to where this money is going. I think that as the elected representatives to the people, we should have some kind of assurance where this going. I've asked several times, and we've had all kinds of different answers. I still don't understand. I can't give a concrete answer. Like, the people that are asking me, well, where does the 180,000, where does the 212,000 go to? And what are the responsibilities? What are we getting back from it? I've just looked at a couple of different ones. I looked at the one in, it's called M-Card, which is the same basic thing. Mahaska County, Agriculture and Rural Development. They don't put near as much in as we do. It's about a $50,000 contribution, but it's a collective of chambers of commerce, and that's a wing of the Chamber of Commerce within the county. And all kinds of different numbers that they put out on slides, to see, they know exactly what events they're doing, how many people are attending, and how many hotel rooms are booked because of that event. And there's just a lot more transparency. Are the expectations that we have for whatever money that we're giving out. I have to be able to relay that back in a good fashion to our folks. Another thing that they had asked for some assurance that we're going to continue after this 1 year. I think that we want to definitely continue in some form or fashion. But I think that we need to have a little bit more control and understanding with transparency where all of it's going, And so whether that would be to amend the 2080 to allow greater, or maybe we open up our own wing of economic development within the county, and employ that person directly so that we have some direct oversight of the taxpayer money. This is it's essentially the definition of a bureaucracy. The people that are making the decisions aren't accountable to voters. So those are my biggest concerns, I think. We do want to work with the cities, we want to cooperate. We don't know how we can do that through this process. We don't have any control whatsoever. And so, those are my concerns. I don't think that we can give them what they were asking for. We tried to ask for some compromise. It didn't seem like there was any compromise. Could some grant writing be done? It seemed like that was behind her. She's a higher level employee at this point, and she doesn't want to write grants. We could get a grant writer. This would be the part-time position, but I think that we would want to eliminate, some of that and to try to cut costs. But in its current form, I don't think that I could support it. at this point. There's a lot of answers we don't know if we go find the money right now. That's going to put us in further, our budget isn't balanced for the first time in 4 or 5 years. If we go back and we amend our budget for next year, I think that that's going to put us in the red again. I don't want to be there. And we think that we have a lot of questions that we need answers to. We want to do our research. We want to make an intelligent decision. And so we can't really make any promises, I don't think, to our partners without having good information. But that's where I stand on it. I do want to open up for, we have at least one representative from economic development that showed up to kind of observe, to have some feedback or.
I'm still learning about this situation.
Okay,
But I am here, on behalf of the state Iowa Workforce Development to
Okay.
support in any way.
okay.
I want to answer more before we're done here. Sure. I agree with Mark. The biggest problem I see is when you go down the planning stage, you're talking basically a 5-year trail. And I know we've had information given to us, like we bring in $1 million every year. Well, that, in a way, that's been kind of intangible. I want tangible results. I want to know, hey, we brought in X, Y, Z. They did this, they made this is how much money got returned in taxes to the county. I mean, that's the type of stuff I'm looking for. I don't think we've really actually heard that.
No.
And we need to see, if we put money into something, we need to see the results, and they have to be quantifiable.
Yeah, like,
And if they're not being quantified, then I can't support it. That goes back to, when we all ran. Full transparency, we're gonna reduce taxes, we're gonna make things work better. And unless we have that, I don't think we can say that we're being fully transparent to our constituents.
I agree with Dave and Mark. I just, there's no way we can fund it the way we are at $38, whatever a head. It's just, we can't afford it. That's just all there is to it. I mean, but like Kurt said, I think we ought to come up with a better way to, or, I mean, I'm working that one too, but there's too many unknowns right at the moment to, I'm not comfortable with it.
As of right now, what's the meeting schedule? I mean, we obviously need to get back and sit down with them
Mhm.
and have our questions to them. When we left that meeting, we were gonna hook back up with them when?
did they nail it? I don't know if they
They're
nailed
gonna
it
send
down.
out
Okay,
It's in a
This
month.
morning, it was next Tuesday, I think.
okay.
so
Oh,
I
they
think,
sent something?
I mean, we should
If
get
I
our questions,
remember right, if I looked at the email right.
get our questions together and go down and say, hey, this is just what we said it here.
Yeah.
And we need to know this, we need to work this out.
We just need some answers.
We need, I got trying to put together for that, line by line, sell this, project, what I did, start date, end date. Dollar savings, and then, so she could work on that, we can talk to her on that, and then, I think we need to look into, first, can we alter the 2080, or are they willing to work with us, like you said, if we're putting in the most money, can we have a little bit more of the power per se on the board, or not the power, but the decision making for the taxpayers of what they want. So that's probably, instead of just throwing it out the window and let's just figure it out, like, I don't know if it's better to give it a month or two here if we have time, but I don't know. The time, if it's in their budgets, I suppose, if it ends sometime between now and December, that's what we already planned for, and everybody just have extra money back. Yeah, so I would say if we could give it a couple months, let's make sure we can pick times when everybody can be there, cities, seeing us, to make sure that we have a good discussion. We have to be at the table or we're never gonna get results, everybody,
Yeah, that's a good idea too, to make sure the mayors are there.
Yeah, we need, if it's, important, and it is, let's have people show up,
I mean,
let's
it's
work on it.
something we could probably have here too. I mean, spacing a little tight just with what we had there, but
Right.
that's good. I think the mayor should be
You
here.
always go to the writing center too.
Yeah. Cause I know there's a couple mayors there and you know, and I understand they can't double their, you know, and I don't know where the answers are, but,
Yeah, but we can't be paying 10 or 13 times what they are. But,
Yeah, everybody's on the same boat.
yeah,
And I was under the impression that when we voted on funding them till December and then withdrawal, you know, from December to, or from January to June, that timeframe, we would be looking at,
the $3 or $5 that we talked
yeah,
about.
and how can we make changes? How can they, you know, with us doing some collaboration? But Tuesday's meeting was basically cut and run. And, you know, that doesn't give the cities the opportunity to have their input. And I don't know if we really need to have to be honest, I don't know if we need to have a decision to fund at this point. I think what we need is to have the cities, like we talked about, get together. Let us have that discussion and say, folks, what do you want to do? I mean, if you want us to try and save this, we need to have some tangible agreements made. And if you don't, well, then they can cut and run, but not before we've had a chance to have that conversation. So I think we need to talk to the cities and say, this is what the economic development team was going to do. If you're okay with that, fine, if you're not, or if you do, it'll probably never be put back together. I mean, if everything's said,
that was pretty
it's
clear.
a done deal.
Yeah.
And putting it back together would be over years. So, like I said, having it sprung on us, you know, I was a little frustrated with it because there's still time built into our current budget and the plans that we have. And I really, I don't want, I agree with Mark, I don't want to go in the red. We've got the budget's balance.
We spent so much time getting out of the red.
Way that it is packaged right now and formed right now, it probably shouldn't continue that way. I mean, from our perspective, if you look at the different models, there's one, and look at the ones that are doing stuff that you can see, Bell obviously is a thriving community. The way that there's that we would want the guy that is the head of the packing plant on there. Marty Harden is doing stuff. Sam Ferris is doing stuff. I mean, Wire, the ones that are making things happen, we want them to be in on the decisions. And that's some rule, that also has some rural representation. It isn't mayors that are on the economic development councils, it's the business people everywhere you look. And when we have people who are elected officials from the city, I think that it's a good thing to have that communication, but I think that the ones that have the best ideas and the best opinions of what's going to drive business and what the business needs, they should be the ones that are on this board. But so I think that it shouldn't continue the way that it is. I think that it should continue in the different forms. There's a lot of changes that gave us some time, but they were kind of like, we need to know by Monday, you know. So
yeah.
I just don't think we can give them a good answer by Monday.
Well, I'll plan on going to the Dyser meeting for sure and just kind of tell them where we're at and say, hey, we'd like to get a meeting together and see what you guys can have the time to think, you know, amongst your council, and then you can come in and we'll have a meeting and say, you know, and we obviously their budgets aren't to the point where they can double or whatever, but what can you do? Or what, like you said, what do you want out of this, you know?
Yeah, it seemed like if it couldn't continue exactly the way it is, that there's no interest in continuing it from their perspective. Just wasn't a whole lot of
Then
compromise.
you come back to it like that, what's the city's getting out of it too?
Mhm.
You know, like the ones that are contributing, I think the only one I seen that it was Stewart, but, you know, don't get some out of it, so what are you getting? I mean, we really don't even know what we're getting out of it either.
Right.
You know, there's just so many unanswered questions on it. You know, it'd be nice to know, hey, Toledo got this for that, or shared this, and I know she said stuff like that about different projects and stuff like that, but, you know, it'd be nice to have an actual concrete, you know, this all went here and this all went there, or I got, you know, there's just too many variables.
Yep, the most
But
accurate,
I do agree, Mark, there, I mean, I think, I don't wanna see it go away either, and the way they make it sound, you know, that's the end, you know, but is that because they don't want to continue on with a lower dollar amount and have to work, say, harder to get the grants that they need to continue, or, you know, what's that look like? Kind of,
And where are the papers gone?
that's,
You know, I'm seriously, every city I've ever been at, the chamber was the one that did a lot of driving. And it involved the businesses, the people who actually,
well,
you know, making money and hiring people and so
and
forth.
your chamber kind of knows what those needs are through its community, you know?
mhm.
And I don't think we have that.
Yeah, also, it would be nice to have a hub, you know,
Right.
where all of those chambers could meet,
Yep.
you know, that would be.
Bring them to the table too, yeah.
Well, that would just be kind of
That would be the economic development.
They are-
They don't have money, so
Chambers of commerce.
if they have our money, I'm sure they would, you know, the county's money, they would do
love
it.
that.
They just don't have the money because it's a bunch of small businesses and
Yep.
volunteers, you know, so. Yeah, I mean, we already have in our budget, like I said, till December. My opinion is we just keep meeting, whether it's every 2 weeks, 4 weeks, we get a serious task force together, we go to some more cities, what are their needs. I mean, nothing's gonna change for us, but I guess from their point, I don't know if we can give a concrete answer till we get more info from them and we just start having these real deep discussions, so. I don't know if we need any kind of a motion or just leave it as,
And
I
then,
just,
at least leave it as it is, cause we,
Yeah.
it's just a discussions all.
yeah,
we're willing and we're ready to sit at the table and figure out, can we alter things? Or do we need I mean, even if we were gonna like withdraw and start a new agreement, you know, or a new 501c3 or something, like, we still could have till December, right? You know, so, cause it takes time if you have to start a new one. Catherine said it could take a while.
Is to give them time to do that, but it doesn't sound like
Yeah.
they want to.
No, we would have to take the lead on it, I think, if we're gonna do it.
If we're gonna, okay.
We just haven't had time to.
Yeah, just first step is, are they interested in updating the 2080? Cause we already have it. If it's not gonna work for all parties, then everybody brings their ideas, thoughts, and then I think they tell them they want.
I'm good with that discussion.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
Thanks. Okay. Next on the agenda, discussion, possible action to appoint outside counsel Tom Henderson at the request of the Board of Adjustment and authorize chair to sign the agreement. There was an agreement that was signed to me or sent to me by email, from the, I think it's Tom's clerk, Tom Henderson. This is, after the Board of Adjustment hearing the other night, or not hearing, excuse me, closed session. They had come out and voted to retain outside counsel. Got an email from Heather saying that, they're going to cover through Heartland, outside counsel for up to $25,000, for his legal fees. And so this lawsuit that we're, for, with, I think we're a party in the Board of Adjustment.
Tama County Board of Adjustment and zoning administrator Bob O'Coon in his official capacity, so really just a zoning administrator
Yep.
position. Yep.
So we would just need a motion to appoint.
I'll make a motion to appoint Tom Henderson, to represent the Board of Adjustment.
I'll second it.
Okay,
Do we need to add zoning on there too?
what day?
You want to do that
It
next?
says at the request of Board of Adjustment.
Just Board of Adjustment right now.
Yeah, and then, authorize me to sign the agreement. Be part of the motion.
I authorize you to sign the agreement.
Okay.
I'll add that in there somewhere.
Second it.
Okay, discussion?
Just that part. I should have read the whole thing.
That's all right.
All right.
All those in favor say aye.
Alright.
Cheers. This, discuss and act on accepting resignation from the interim zoning administrator and weed commissioner. Received an email this week from Chris Barron's that it was just too much. He's got 55 hours he's doing at the fire department. 17 or 16 hours, I think, at the sanitarium, and he said he thought he could kind of keep things flowing for us for a while, and it's just bogging him down. And so he didn't feel like he was doing a good enough job. He has cataloged, I sent his emails, the projects coming in that need to be approved and all that kind of stuff. And so we just need a motion to accept his resignation, and then in addition, remove the appointment of interim zoning administrator and weed commissioner.
I'll make the motion that we accept Chris's, resignation.
I'll second it.
We're giving you guys time.
I didn't know if we were gonna say an appointment, so I was like, does it need to be both?
If he's watching, he might have been sweating. He's like, I have to keep on doing it.
Yep, sorry, man. Discussion is all echo, though. I really appreciate that Chris put together that spreadsheet of projects, what's going on, what's been done. I've never seen that, since we came in office in January, to know exactly, it took him 7.5 hours the first week, but he said it's probably, more of a 15-hour week thing, but just to be able to actually see what's being worked on was refreshing. So I think even though it was only short, we appreciate Chris stepping in for at least that week to help us out and put that together. So,
Yeah, he definitely tried.
yeah.
And I think when Mark, or you guys just first contacted him, it's like, oh man, this ain't working. Well, then Monday at a meeting, he says, man, I feel better about it.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I think, and it took a couple more days, like, oh, I can't do it.
Yeah.
He definitely tried.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
And it, you don't wanna do something half,
Right.
he's a guy that wants to do it the best of his ability, and even though it's short term, so.
Yeah, I appreciate his ability to see where he's overloaded and say, I can't, do it," before we get so far down the road that it's just
For sure.
buried and it's a mess.
Yep.
That probably took a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of courage. So.
Also shows wisdom.
Yep.
So, I appreciate the work he's done.
Did we, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Discussion of possible action for interim zoning administrator. Having got that email, I checked with Paul to find out if we had any applicants for the zoning administrator and weed commissioner, because this was even in the interim. We've only received one so far. It was from Laura Wilson. I reached out to David and said, what do we want to do? We went ahead and interviewed Laura yesterday. Mm-hmm. Karen sat in with us. She interviewed very well. She's interested in the permanent position. The problem we have right now is that we have 10 permits waiting for people to be able to be approved so that they can start building, and people are pretty antsy and they'll continue to come in. And so whatever the new person gets started, I think that we need to at least have some coverage. If we get other applicants, we will certainly consider them and, have the, give them the same opportunity that we would have Laura had she not, been willing to step in as the interim. But, we can appoint her as interim. I've talked to Paul about that. And if she should be able to make her the permanent through the process that we've already gone through. So I think she interviewed very well. She's honestly overqualified probably for this position. It goes really well with some of the other things that she's got going on. So I didn't have any concerns whatsoever from her. David, you want to?
None whatsoever. I think she would do a fantastic job as interim, and assuming no one else applies and interview, she's perfectly capable of doing this. Matter of fact, like you said, she's probably overqualified. So, I'll make a motion that we appoint Laura Wilson as the interim zoning administrator.
Okay, remove.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Any other discussion?
We'll do hourly as well, like we were doing with Chris, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, the whole thing also has a caveat to, like, it doesn't have to be a current employee, she does have to be on the payroll, and so she'd have to sign up with, and Karen said she could take her down and show her the office and that kind of
perfect.
stuff.
Yep. Sounds good.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oops, motion carries. Next, the other side of the job that Chris was doing for us was the weed commissioner. I did reach out to Ben to find out what licenses that his folks had for spraying the roadside ditches. And I think that they are capable of doing that. He didn't have a name for me, but there's one guy that's kind of the head and another one that both have their sprayers licenses.
Todd.
Yep.
Lawyer.
Yep.
He's the one that does most spraying, and he has a helper or a guy. Who's that? There you go. She knows.
It hasn't been a big demand yet.
I see it goes on, and probably get a little bit worse.
My weeds are getting bigger, so.
Right.
I'll call. What is this?
Or-
One of the things that Laura had said, like if we do keep it together, she's fine with doing it, and she's a lot stronger on the other side, I felt like, on the zoning and the planning part of it. But she would be willing to, because it's really not a spraying job.
No.
What they currently do is receive complaints. They go out and talk to the person. I think they have to give them so many days to take care of the issue, and if they don't, what Ben said that they had done in the past is just contracted out to a sprayer to come out and spray, and then they charge the landowner. And there's not a lot of it that just goes on.
It's a very,
Well, I believe it's just,
90% of them, I think, take care of their
yeah,
own.
it's their property too, is we take our crew take care of the ditches anyway.
Yep.
So what, I thought about what's he contracting it for, but then that makes sense, because it's on their property, that's where
Correct.
complaints come from.
See that we probably wouldn't have the right liability insurance to do that, more likely, so
Yeah.
we're contracted sprayer has to carry that liability insurance, is probably one of the reasons why. I would say.
Yeah. Yep. The other side of this discussion is that we don't have to have a weed commissioner. It's not a requirement. It says that we may appoint somebody to be a weed commissioner. But I think that it makes sense now, having a better understanding of what that job is, because I didn't know what it was before. I honestly thought that it was somebody going out and spraying just all the time. But it's more somebody who's administrating or, and deals with
Complaints of it.
They have the legal authority to act.
Well, it's just like FSA has a complaint, they got a weed person that goes out and looks like MCRP and all that. You can say, I call you every year or they have you.
That's a major
Yeah.
undertaking.
Yeah, and they show
There's
us, they,
fines and it can impact the government money paid to, yeah, you don't want to go down that road.
Yeah. Well, Laura had, she had suggested that if she does, like if we did split it up, make it be kind of a hybrid where she would, organize it and take the complaints and do the communication back and forth. And then if we needed to, turn it over to somebody else to do the spraying, which I think is what we would want anyway. So we could just do both, to her. I think that should be good that as well.
So you're saying in the interim, we would still have Ben's crew
It did-
deal with this now?
Yeah, well,
no,
she would be the interim. Nobody's doing it right now, but
I'd make the motion to have Laura Williamson be like commissioner. I mean,
I'll second that.
we move to second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Open back up for public comments. Right, Karen?
On the weed, who did you say was in charge of, road ditch spring?
the county,
But you said a name.
it's we have a department, what do you call it?
Roadside
Road
vegetation.
clearance, thank you.
Yeah.
Todd,
So that-
Sawyer is
No,
the,
Todd, sorry.
he's the department head of the two-person,
All right.
I don't know if you call him a department head, but he's a lead person there.
Anything on there?
No,
Just that you guys need to speak up.
Oh.
When Heather speaks, the audio is good, but when you guys up there are speaking, it's not so good.
Come on, guys,
I think the voice.
speak up, oh, because I'm close.
it's a big voice.
You know, it's just, this is kind of a rough deal. We're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard spot here, so the interim will work. I think she'll do fine.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it.
Go ahead, Richard.
Okay, one question concerning the current budget, 25, 26. Is there any money in there for economic development?
Yes.
So you guys have time, because the money is there, to work with them. Okay.
Correct, until December.
Yeah.
But December, we changed what we were proposing to fund them.
Okay.
As of January first till July or June 30th of 26, our proposal was that we would fund them per capita by how many people are in the county. $3 per capita was what the city's most, which equaled about $50,000 to $60,000, I think. And so that triggered them to say, we can't do it, like we can't do it on that much money. And so we're kind of coming back to the table and saying, well, what can we do, So we have fully funded until December of this year.
This year, so we'd have to do an amendment if we fully funded it, we'd have to add that difference between the 15 and whatever.
So correct me if I'm wrong, we've got 1,500 people in rural, correct?
Right around there.
So that would be a reduction of $52,500 from January the 1st to June the 30th of what they would have been paid. Because we would be reducing the amount that the per capita from $38 down to 35. That's our
Three.
No, maybe $3. So we're reducing it. $35 per capita. You would not be taxed $35
Did it?
that you are being taxed now. You're being taxed 30. One other quick comment. You guys will be well satisfied with Laura Wilson. I mean, she's got her opinions, but she'll do the job and she'll do it honestly and by the book. So that's just my opinion.
Yep, she's a really good researcher with ordinances, codes, and
Absolutely.
yeah, she can put that aside and just, this is what's the
Sitting
law.
next to her for the last 3 years, I'm saying, that girl can take care of this job.
Yeah.
I sat behind her for a year and I recognized her skill set, and so, no, I think she'll do it.
And there's passion, I mean, passion's something you don't always see in the workforce today, and yeah.
She's been to every meeting for 3 years for free. So she's well
I
prepared.
know.
Very good. Another thing I didn't get to bring up during the discussion of the economic development, their other employee, probably knew that this was coming, that they were trying to wind down because she has moved the assessors already. I thought that was kind of quick. And so
Yeah.
there had to be some kind of internal understanding of they were winding things down, but that just wasn't communicated back to our board. So if we did move forward, it would be kind of unfair for that employee that did that for so many years to not have that job, or we might lose somebody from the assessor to go back. I think that that's one of the unintended consequences of moving forward that might bring about. Yep.
Okay, I want to speak to economic development. I do appreciate you calling this meeting today. I've always been sympathetic towards them, but you brought up some really good points. The Chamber of Commerce is not being very involved, and no answers, no anything accountable for what's going on there. That's going on in some of the other departments as well, and it really is really bugs me. I've mentioned it to some of you already. The other thing that is disappointing to me is having sat in on the economic development budget meetings. I clearly remember them saying that Joanne was doing the grant writing. And I was told that more than one time by more than one person. So now I'm learning, you were saying that no, nobody's doing any grant writing, so. I know my alert always goes up when there's not pure truth. The grocery store things that have been coming up from economic development is, they're looking for money at the state level to kind of rescue these small grocery stores in these small towns. So that one would be out the window right away. And that was one of the big deals that was brought up, you know, the budget meetings, but we'll be rescue grocery store. And along that line, some of the businesses that have come in or been rescued are gone. They were here for a year or so, and then they were gone again. So those don't even, I mean, they might have gotten their money and just run, so, which, yeah, that happens a lot. So I feel like you guys are put kind of in a situation of, oh, put you guys in a corner where you had to either approve and go with everything. And I was here when that whole group of people came in fighting for economic development, and so what is going on right now is not surprising to me, just very disappointing. Yeah, I'm glad you guys are handling it this way. Like I said, I was one of the most sympathetic people towards economic development, but I don't like it when I hear different stories. Really hard. Thank you.
You brought up the state a little bit. It sounds like from the email that they're not gonna get to any talk even about our property taxes or sales tax or that kind of stuff, are they? That's disappointing.
Mhm.
I was kind of hoping they could get something
I'm
done.
kinda hoping to have a little relief for these people.
Yep, the way it sounds that I heard this morning that
For
they're,
us too, I mean,
yeah,
We're all taxpayers.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're still fighting just over the budget they have on paper.
Yeah.
But the situation that the state's put us in and the city's in, you know, it's hard, you know, and
Well, the unfunded mandate is really good.
I'd like to see someone step up down there and say, hey, we need to take care of this. That should be a top priority, not, hey, we didn't get to it this year. You know, that kind of sucks, but, it is what it is, and thank God you guys, you two, especially, we all worked hard on it, but you guys did this county very well and trying to get this budget back where it was, so. We're
And you
dealing
guys
with it.
didn't take a 2-week recess like they did.
No, yeah, no, it's,
Come back in and say, oh, we can't get through.
but, it was just, I just wanted to say that, I was pretty disappointed in the state, on that deal.
I did hear at the federal level, somebody making a comment about prisoners and then the money was being cut off, so hopefully,
You got them swallow a little bit of.
hopefully there's some internal discussion because that's an unfunded mandate that's costing every city, county and state a lot of money because of the federal government saying that we can't use that money. So.
I'm not surprised that they didn't do anything on property tax relief this year because it's not an election year.
Right.
It will come
Next year.
Next year it will pass.
Mhm.
Pretty sure of that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
No, I think I learned.
Yeah, just look at the politics of it. Usually you can explain it.
Fortunately, we haven't gotten into that, into this is part of that.
No,
And we're not going there if I can help it.
Yeah.
And I know you guys are on the same page, so.
Yep.
yep, you bet. All right, you got anything else, Richard?
No.
Oh, good, all right. We will adjourn at 9:23. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for the extra.
Yeah.
Extra.
Thank you.
Oh.